So apparently UFC BJJ is mega viral, or is it? Just 1 week after UFC BJJ 3, the live stream of the event on the UFC YouTube channel magically went from 250,000 views to 9 million. But here's the catch: a 0.1% engagement rate and a comment section full of bots. So did the UFC buy views to make their new BJJ league look more legit, or was this a setup to make them look bad? Let's break down exactly what happened, the evidence that's out there right now, the theories surrounding it, and of course my take on the matter. If this is your first time seeing my channel, I'm Wyatt, and this is Fight Society. Let's get into it. Now, I follow Craig Jones on Instagram, and he collabed on this post with BJJ World TV and a few other channels, first reported by the BJJ Doctor. The question here is, how did UFC BJJ 3 go from 1.9 million views to 9 million in 4 days? And the jump in views is actually more drastic than that. As you can see right here, at the end of the event, streamed 2 hours ago, it says right here, 277,000 views. And 9 days later, 9 million views. October 7th, 2025 at 10:25 a.m., 1.9 million views, 300 comments, 8,000 or 9,000 likes. And 4 days later, 9 million views, only 25 more comments, despite 8 million more views or 7 million more views, and only 1,000 more likes. And this point right here is true. This represents an engagement collapse that's statistically impossible for organic viewership. 1.9 mil was already suspicious, but that goes from suspicious to a whole new category. I'm a YouTuber. I know how the algorithm works. I know exactly how these things happen. The way that you get organic views is through engagement such as likes and comments, and then of course people watching the video. So for them to only get 25 more comments and 1,000 more likes, but 7.1 million more views, it literally does not make sense when you talk about how the YouTube algorithm works. As you can see right here at the end of the event, 2% engagement rate, 53,000 views per hour, right after the event. So they got roughly 53,000 live viewers. Room for error. My number might not be perfect, but 53,000 views at the end of the stream. And now 0.1% engagement rate and 9 million views. It does not make sense for your engagement rate to go way down while your views go way up and it being organic. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work like that on YouTube. And then you see the Craig Jones Invitational getting 1.3 million views despite having a much higher engagement rate. And these are from a tool called vidIQ, which I actually use. It's actually kind of weird that the back-end YouTube stuff that I work on with my channel is kind of mixing with the topic of a video. It's pretty interesting. And then you have Mikey Musumeci bragging about the 9 million views. And as BJJ Doctor / BJJ World TV say, this isn't UFC BJJ's first encounter with suspicious metrics. Our previous investigation documented 173 bot-like comments on the first UFC BJJ, 19% of comments, 1 in 5 being a bot. Generic praise with identical grammatical errors, of course, references to random timestamps that don't relate to the timestamp, modest social media gains for participants despite massive viewership. And so, of course, this suggests that this is not organic engagement. As you can see right here, here's the video itself. I'm right here. You guys can literally see it. 9 million views with less than 400 comments and 9.9K likes. I'm going to throw a little dislike on that because they're lying about the views, in my opinion. But as you can see right here, all the comments, 9 million views, 10K likes. This is a joke. Mikey is a joke. The UFC's a joke. 9 million views must be related to slap. Damn, Dana caught lying with his pants down, buying views. So all of these views with lack of engagement is causing a lot of people to question just how much viewership UFC BJJ is actually getting. And this right here, today, literally today on the Ariel Helwani show, Mikey Musumeci called in and Ariel asked him about this.
You were coming on today. So apparently this conspiracy about the UFC BJJ 3 YouTube video. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
So it went from 275K to 9 million over the course of a couple of days with very low engagement. This is now a hot story. Everyone's at, what do you make of this? What's going on here?
So first, I was just pumped. I started 9 million views. I'm like, yeah, I was just really happy that I got to 9. I don't really understand or know how that works, like pumping views on YouTube. You know, UFC has millions of subscribers, but yeah, I don't really know anything about this. That's out of my pay grade, that tier of like doing things like that, right?
And of course, Mikey is not going to talk shit or say that it seems suspicious when they're the people that are signing his paychecks.
A hypothesis on my end.
Okay.
So I saw some people saying like, oh, look how pathetic the UFC is. They're buying views to prop up UFC BJJ. But let's be honest, it's the UFC. They don't need to buy views.
That's what we think, is that the UFC doesn't need to buy views. We'll get to my thoughts on that in a moment.
The freaking most dominant force in all of combat sports. So
And they
UFC,
have so much money, right? Like they don't like. I don't know if
it's
they
the
even
third
care.
event. They're trying to build something new. Okay. Is it possible? Is it possible? I don't know, but is it possible you can buy views on someone else's page? You can attach those. Is it possible, Mikey, that someone bought views on the UFC page to then say, look at the UFC, they're frauds, look at what they're doing?
Interesting.
Is that
like a setup? Like they planned.
Yes. Is that possible? I feel like that's a possibility.
conspiracy theory.
Who's paying attention to this sort of thing? I feel like someone might have planted it to then say, look at these frauds. Is that possible? That feels more plausible to me than them buying views on their video. What do you think?
Now, is that possible? Absolutely. Because Craig Jones just recently, in a debate with Mikey Musumeci, claims that the UFC stole his idea for The Pit.
I'm taking this UFC BJJ very personal, but I wish that finale today all the success in the world. Obviously, they stole The Pit, the rules, the judges, the staff, the blocking staff from working our event, but I hope the finale goes off with a bang today, and all you guys tune in to watch my ideas come to fruition on the UFC YouTube channel.
Fuck the UFC.
From his Craig Jones Invitational. And of course, he doesn't own The Pit. He's a licensee because Karate Combat actually owns The Pit. But CJI is the first to use it as their sole structure for BJJ competition. And so Craig Jones does have an issue with the UFC. He does post videos literally blowing up a figure of Dana White and the BJJ belt and all that type of stuff. There's a real possibility that somebody wanted to make the UFC BJJ video look bad. Am I saying that Craig Jones bot farmed the UFC BJJ video and then posted about it to call them out for it? I'm not saying he did or didn't, but it's very suspicious. It's very, very suspicious. And while I've been on Craig Jones's side for a lot of this jiu-jitsu beef and all this stuff that's been going on a lot recently, I'm definitely on the Craig Jones side of things because I think that CJI is way better than UFC BJJ. I do think that Derek Moneyberg getting his black belt in 3.5 years is unfair and suspicious. If you've watched my channel for more than like 3 weeks, you know where I stand on these issues. Quick break. If you're loving this video and you want more from Fight Society, click that join button down below to become a channel member today, where you'll get access to members only live streams, behind the scenes vlogs, and all the unfiltered stuff that we don't post to the main channel. Back to the video. For a moment, I did think that Craig Jones would be the one to buy views on the UFC channel and then post about it to make them look bad because he doesn't like the UFC. But when I consider how much the stats of UFC affiliates, I'll say, UFC spinoffs, the fugaziness of their numbers, I believe that the UFC very well, in my opinion, could be buying the views. Because here you have Dana White talking about power slap numbers with Mike Tyson, and he's just fucking lying. So somebody's lying to him or he's lying about them. Now, I'm not saying Dana White pulled the strings and say, buy some views. It's obviously happening in their like production and business strategy department. Dana White really doesn't care about how they get the views. He cares that they're getting them. And of course, we all remember what he had to say about power slap numbers. This is him with Mike Tyson 2 years ago.
What? So, you know, we kill it here in the United States. In India, doing like 300 million views. Indonesia, 100 million views. Brazil, 30 million views. 40 million views in Russia. The list goes on and on. We just launched in China. In 48 hours, the thing did something like 100 million views in 48 hours. And No, it's fucking killing it.
Now, I genuinely believe that Dana White thinks that that is the case. And this is him talking about the slap numbers compared to NFL, MLB, all that.
Take the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NHL, the UFC, WWE, NASCAR, Formula One, PGA, and a couple others that I can't remember. You combine all their social media numbers together and multiply them by 4. Power slap beats them.
Now, that sounds like promoter talk, and part of me thinks that Dana White, being a 55-year-old man, literally doesn't know how these things work, and that there's somebody in their media department bot farming these events so that they can have these massive numbers to brag about. But when you look deeper at the machine that is the UFC and Power Slap killing it, if you look at something like Slap News, which is the premier slap fighting news outlet in the world, having barely more subscribers than me, like double mine, and my channel's not that big. You look at the people they're interviewing, 18 hours, 45 views, 1 day, 100 views, 3 days, 92 views. Like, these are absolutely fucking abysmal views. And you'd think that if these events are doing so well, if these events are doing so incredibly well, better than every major sport combined times 4, that they would be making some stars. Clearly fucking not. Look at these numbers. None of these people pull any views. Let's be real. Let's be real. I'm not trying to shit on these people. They risk their health for our entertainment or for somebody's entertainment. I don't know who watches Power Slap, but they're risking their health for the UFC and Power Slap and this machine, but they're not becoming stars. It doesn't make any sense. If they're getting hundreds of millions or billions or trillions of views, whatever Dana White wants to say, you would think they would have some superstars, but they have none. I literally can't name one fighter. I think there's Crazy Hawaiian is like the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. And then the guy that they like gave goats to or some shit like that, the Russian guy that's like the godfather of slap fighting. I know 2 people, and it's supposedly bigger than every major sport. I don't even watch most sports. I watch UFC. I watch MMA, and I watch some college football. That's basically all I watch these days. And I can reel off F1 drivers' names, baseball players' names, hockey players' names. Like, I can name them off the top of my head. I can literally name 2 Power Slap competitors, and then Paige Van Zandt, but she was just brought in to, help them bring more attention to the event. But she's from the UFC. So what does this really mean? No matter who did this, it is a PR nightmare for UFC BJJ 3. And I was hoping that them venturing into a legit combat sport and not making up some bullshit like Power Slap was going to kind of be the redemption for doing things like Power Slap. Now it looks like it's just going to be another bullet point on the list of failed Dana White endeavors. I don't know if any of you guys remember The Ultimate Surfer and all those other different spin-offs that they had of The Ultimate Fighter. Dana White's had a lot of failed ventures that were supposed to be UFC spin-offs. And now we got UFC BJJ, view botting, and Power Slap either lying or view botting, I'm not sure. But the reason that this is such a big deal, it's actually, in my opinion, fraudulent behavior, because you have massive companies writing massive checks from their marketing budget to advertise on Power Slap, on UFC BJJ. And the amount that they're paying is based off of the amount of views that are anticipated for this event. So is UFC BJJ or Power Slap, are they botting their numbers, faking their numbers, and then going to these advertisers and saying, look how great our numbers are, give us X amount of money? It's very, very possible that that's the case. And if that is the case, we could be looking at some serious legal problems for the UFC or for UFC BJJ and Power Slap, because you can't lie and fib about your numbers and then sell advertising slots based on those fake numbers. Now, of course, there is like the whole dead internet theory that over 50% of the internet's interactions and things that happen on the internet are bots. Of course, that's possible that bots got sicked on their account by a Craig Jones or by somebody else. But what I really think this is the UFC wanting to appear, and again, this is my opinion, is the UFC wanting to appear as this massive machine that can just make anything they do so popular. And I don't think that's the case. And on top of that, selling advertising slots with fake numbers. So what do you guys think? Do you think Craig Jones or somebody used view bots to make the UFC look bad? Or do you think the UFC is doing it themselves and lying about it? Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you want more from Fight Society? Like and subscribe below this video, and click the join button to become a channel member today to get access to behind the scenes vlogs and members only live streams.